Hello, everyone. Welcome to Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out your hustle. And today we are here with Tech Life Weekly, talking to the tech divas. I've got Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva in the house. I've got Dr. Hachi, media specialist in the house. And we are looking forward to stories all the way from New York City from Terry Johnson. I'm Terralina from the Biz Chicks, and we just want to welcome you into Tech Life Weekly. So today we always like to begin with this week in tech history. So take it away, Fran.
All right. So, Dr. Tachi, this one is right up your alley. The first motion picture film to receive a copyright, and it was in January 9th, 1894.
Wow. Not
You
long
were
after film debuted.
right. W.K. Dixon, an employee of Thomas Edison's movie studio, he receives a copyright for a motion picture film. The 5-second demonstration was a 47 frame film showing a man sneezing.
Mhm.
This man, the man was Fred Ott. He is now most famously known for having this sneeze recorded in film. Fred Ott's sneeze is the earliest surviving film to receive a copyright in the United States. While technically a copyright for a film had been granted to Edison Studio in the previous year, the records for what that film was have been lost.
And sadly, in some cases, the film industry hasn't come that far in terms of content.
Mhm.
Yeah, people sneezing. It was like the first YouTube was somebody going to the zoo, right? Just
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. January 9th, 2001, Steve Jobs introduces iTunes at Macworld. It is at the time, it only ran on Macintosh computers, and there was no such thing as an iPod or an iTunes store. Uh,
Mm.
the author says he didn't think anyone at the time knew what the big deal iTunes was about to become. And it did become big.
It did.
Mhm.
It did.
January 2007, Apple introduces iPhone at Macworld. The phone wasn't available for sale until June 29th, prompting one of the most heavily anticipated sales launches in the history of technology. Apple sold 1.4 million iPhones in 2007, steadily increasing each year to sell over 230 million in 2015 alone. And where are we now? 2024.
2025.
Yeah. Apple, not just for computers anymore. January 2007, after introducing the iPhone, Steve Jobs announces that Apple Computer Inc. has dropped the computer from its official name and will now be known simply as Apple Inc. This move is to signify that Apple has expanded their scope of products from what have been traditionally defined as computers. Some people still call it Apple Computer out of
Mm.
habit. January 2009, through a posting to the cryptography mailing list, the synonymous Satoshi Nakamoto releases the first version of the Bitcoin software and launches the network of decentralized peer-to-peer
Mm.
cryptocurrency. 6 days earlier, Nakamoto had generated the first block of 50 Bitcoins, now known as the Genesis block.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We will talk about that later. January 10th, 1863, the world's first underground railway service opened in London. The Metropolitan line between Paddington and Farringdon, approximately 40,000 Londoners ride the trains the first day. Wow.
Mm.
January 10th, 1912, Glenn Curtis flies the first flying boat. It is a pusher with a canard surface.
Mm.
I'm like, okay. I'm not going into space. And my final story, January 10th, 2006, 7 months after announcing that Macintosh computers will transition from PowerPC to Intel, the first Apple computer is shipped with Intel processors. And this allowed the iMacs and the MacBook Pros to be able to run Windows computers on those devices, on those computers. It made it to combat the compatibility better. As you know now, or may not know, but Apple now has their own processors, and so they are no longer reliant on other companies for their processing. And that is your week in tech history.
That was good. I enjoy listening to the evolution of all of these different companies, particularly Apple. He says, and
My-
Mark in
About
the sequel, that the guy sneezing coughs. So
He's so swift.
I know he's really good
oh my gosh.
with the impromptu response.
And that I'm gonna say film because it wasn't a video. That film was 5 minutes.
Mm.
No, 5 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
47 frames.
That was the precursor to Vine.
What?
Oh,
Right? That was a Vine. Oh wow.
wow! There you go.
Okay, that yeah. String a couple of them together and we get a reel.
There you go.
The
Wow.
first Vine. And it got patented.
Well stated, Dr. Tachi. So
This is
observant.
good. So Terry, you want to okay, so there's a video. Terry's going to put the link in the chat for it about how computers are I'm not going to say computer. What are they?
Robotics.
Robotics. Are they a sport or are they educational?
Science. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
And so we got to see it. You guys will have to click the link to watch it. But it was really, really interesting how there's another sport educational piece. I think it's both, but the kids get involved.
Yes. And it's this guy, Dean Kamen.
Mm-hmm.
He started this organization called FIRST, and they do robotic competitions. And so schools all over the country participate. And it's exciting to watch the video to see kids rooting for their robotic teams just like they would for their sports teams. His objective in doing this is to give everybody an opportunity to be a star within this niche, because everybody with these skills has the ability to become a superstar, whereas everybody's not going to make a sports team. It's a very limited opportunity, whereas this one is wide open. And so during the course of this video, you'll see different types of teams. You'll see girls teams. You'll see teams from wealthy schools, inner city schools. And also you'll see that young people are watching the competitions online even because they're so excited about robotics. So I am excited to share that with you. I hope you'll take an opportunity to watch the video. Also, I watched a video about a robotics competition for high school students. And one of the teams, the students were deaf, and they won in the Phoenix competition. So I
Wow.
also put that over there in the chat so that you can check that out.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, because just the communication, watching them communicate amongst themselves, leave alone just seeing all the other teams, competing, and yet they came out on top. I was very excited about that
Mm.
because their point is that regardless of what people see as a limitation, they are able to succeed, and deaf people are able to do the same things as everybody else.
And so I'd like the fact that whatever limitations people perceive, there's always a way around them. There's
Mhm.
always a way to get something done in get something done regardless of the limitation. There really is no excuse for anybody not to be able to do a particular thing. There's always a way of getting something done,
Mhm.
if I can
Mhm.
say it that way. I was watching um, the guy, the first story that you talked about in the robotics, how he created that wheelchair that would allow the person in the wheelchair to be able to come up and be
Mhm.
on balanced on two wheels so they can pivot and maneuver. I'm like, oh, that's a level playing field right now. So the person is not stuck in the little four
Yes.
wheel situation. They can now participate.
And they're at eye level with others.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. It's like, oh, okay. It gives them more, interaction
And
without
then those
feeling.
of us who are better or differently abled have no
Are
excuse for not
temporarily able-bodied.
have no excuse for not doing things.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh yeah, there's no reason why we cannot do more or do better in life. That's a side note, just saying.
Yes. So all you tabbies out there, all you folks who are temporarily able-bodied, get on it.
Absolutely. I think this too. I think that I really loved the story about the football player and him finding sport in robotics. So I think it can be both. It's both a science and a sports, because if you think about it, sports itself is science. It's
Mhm.
physics.
It is.
Mhm.
So, there's no separating the two.
Mm-mm.
And I think, though, what the attitude societally is that there is a difference between the two, and that one is more important, particularly for specific communities, because he's not generally from a community you would think about in terms of robotics. You think about the look and the who they are in one way. And so
Mhm.
I'm really pleased that they reached out to him and made him a part of this, because my thing is, if you're competitive on the field, you're going to be competitive anywhere, and you want to be the best at whatever it is you do.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's irrespective of what it is. So why not reach out to football players, soccer players, etc., and pull them into these things? And he was 100% right. The likelihood of him succeeding and being big time in engineering is way more than in football, and the
Right,
danger is not there.
right,
So
right. And the faculties, I watched Hercule Poirot, the little gray cells, you get to use them. Everybody gets to
Mhm.
use their little gray cells to create, to do things that other that you sometimes you may not. Well, you got to use your gray cells on the sports too, traditional sports, but you get to use your brain power. And like you said, Dr. Tachi, traditionally people think if you're doing physical stuff, you're doing more than the person using their brain.
Mhm.
And with the robotics, you're using both because you got to figure stuff out.
The other thing is that when you are on a team, the synergy kicks in,
Mhm.
and everybody has something to contribute that will push your idea forward too,
Yep.
because everybody's moving toward the same goal. So success is probably greater. The opportunity for success is greater having participated on a team.
Yep. This is
Indeed.
stuff.
So
I'm,
that's what I wanted to share today.
I'm like, did we have robot? I didn't have robotics when I was,
No,
or at
we
least
had
it
metal
wasn't.
shop though when I came along.
Yeah, we had
because
metal and wood shop and stuff, but we did at our school, we didn't have that level of, and that teacher probably like that Jim so and so, he's just doing stuff. There's the people,
yep,
he's
I wanted him to wire the lamp, and he's got like 3 lights on this one. Why? That was not the assignment, okay? Yeah,
yeah,
they did little things like that, learn how to use wiring, but I guess it was a big deal back then because electricity really hadn't been around that long. We think of these things because they're so common, but as
yeah.
each generation comes along, hey Tim, how you doing?
Hey, Tim Gillette is in the house. You bring some
Hey,
Texas air?
hey.
Well, it's frozen if he is, because it is definitely icy and snowy out here.
Are you in Dallas?
Yes.
Mm.
No, I didn't realize it was icy.
Yeah, it's progressing over the weekend.
Mm. So anyway, the robotics are a thing, and I think it's a great. I think it's great. So, Terry, do you have another story, or Dr. Tachi? Are we taking the
But we're
stage?
going to move on.
Well, I wanted to say something really quickly. I remember when I was young, there were these robotics was a big thing.
Mm,
And there were these 2 sets that both of them I wanted, both of them my mother ignored my uh, request for. So there was one called Robotics, where you
uh-huh.
could build robots, right? Different types of actual robots. And there was another one called Capsella that allowed you to build robots, but also like kind of submarines that would
Mm,
and so they were like capsules that you would put together and you could see the inner workings of them. So I really wanted the Capsella because I wanted to build a like a submarine or something that went on the water. That's what sold me. I said, oh, I need this. And my mother was like, that's nice, no. So but there were in the 80s there was a really big move toward toys that were robotic, and so this just reminded me of that.
mhm. And I can remember in the 90s buying a um, drone for a friend's son.
Mm.
And that was way before they, got to be really commercial. And I think I got it from one of those places that is now no longer in business. But
Shall we say the name? Okay.
well, I think we got fried at Fry's. And it just, hovered and, and you actually controlled it by remote control. And I think that was the beginning of, the whole drone um, phase.
Mm.
They begin as toys, is my point, Dr. Chachi. That's
Absolutely.
something.
And now the military uses our toys to control things.
And this is why when my daughters were growing up, there were people who didn't want them to play games that had joysticks. I said, whoa, wait a minute. This is employment. This is a skill. Okay, they will play these games. Okay.
But this is the interesting thing. Notice who they're giving that narrative to and who they are not saying that
Yes.
to.
Right.
Yes. And that's why I was excited too to see the Holy Cows, the girls team. They had
Mm.
little cow ears, and then there was a little halo in the middle of their little headbands. I was like, okay,
I
that's so
love it.
cute. And they called themselves a Holy Cow. I was like, wow, and they'd won several competitions, 5 out of 6 or something.
That's fantastic.
Phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I think the Girl Scouts are really getting into this too. The
Mhm.
whole robotics thing. So I think that's great because that is a leveler.
You need skills beyond traditional things that the Boy
Mhm.
Scouts and the Girl Scouts offer. I mean, and those are all wonderful, but some of these things are not going to give you a job. So,
But they also teach business skills. Now the cookie business is online. Everybody has a website. You know what I mean? They're reporting their sales, and they have a science to the whole cookie process, which I
see,
think is a good thing.
it is. But
Plus,
to
it
those
is an
cookies, I say,
opportunity.
get thee behind me, Satan, because I don't need them in my house.
But it is an opportunity for the young ladies to learn business,
It is. It is.
skills,
Sales,
spreadsheets.
advertising.
Exactly, all of that. They send out little videos.
I remember really quickly that I saw all of this because I was never a Girl Scout
Mhm.
because all my little friends were brownies and Girl Scouts, and I was like, "Can I do it?" To my mother said, "It's either this or dance." I was like, "Oh, forget that dance." So dance was my thing,
Mhm.
but I I did perform dance at the Girl Scouts. This was like in the early 2000s. I think it was their not 100th anniversary, but 100th and something anniversary. And they hired us to
Ah,
teach the girls a dance, like, because it was like a jamboree, a whole bunch of them. So
yes, it's a
something that they could
jamboree.
all learn, and there were like 6 of us, and we were all positioned around the auditorium. This was at the Washington Convention Center. We were
Oh,
all
wow.
positioned, and so we all were responsible for helping them remember and it was really something simple, but it was so cool. So as soon as the music ran out, we had to run out and get to our post, and then we helped all the girls do it. So that's my experience with the Girl Scouts. And because of that, they gave us this really cool goodie bag that included Vera Wang perfume.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
okay. They had some sponsors.
Okay,
Okay.
they have money now. Don't be fooled. The Girl Scouts have money.
Mark got jokes.
Mhm.
Mark says, now we know, don't ask Tachi to start the campfire, but she will be available for the post s'mores entertainment.
Don't ask me to do any of that. In fact, I don't even like s'mores because I don't like marshmallows. But I
Mm,
will help you learn to dance.
okay.
Yeah, because Dr. Tachi, you and I never liked marshmallows.
Yeah.
Like that. Is that the Mars bar that has the one with the chocolate and the marshmallow thing? I was like,
That's Malomar.
no, not that one. Three Musketeers. That one
Oh,
tastes like,
that's nougat. That's a little different than marshmallow, but it's the same.
Consistency close to it.
yeah, no.
I hate marshmallows.
Okay. Well, now that we've established that, I think we can move on, ladies.
We will.
No offense, Girl Scouts or marshmallow people.
It makes no, okay. That's just something, y'all. They whip that up to sell for people. I'm like, why?
Pump some air in it.
Ugh.
Okay. So with that, I turn the floor over to Dr. Tachi.
So no, we're not doing
TJ,
Terry.
I'm waiting for TJ's. I'm still looking for it. I
Okay.
don't see
Well,
it
then
yet.
I will just go ahead and go.
Okay.
So today I had if I have a little bit of time, I'll talk about this, but I had the pleasure of right before this, I was on Dr. Vibe show, and I was providing a synopsis of the year in media tech and pop
Oh my
culture
gosh.
for
Woo!
2024. And there was a lot. I mean, we couldn't even get through
I can
everything.
imagine.
And every year I say, now, why don't I write down some of these things? But it always comes rushing back to me of what some of the big stories were. And it's so interesting what was happening. I'll mention one of the things in terms of tech that I talked about was the rise of weight loss drugs, and that is technology.
Mhm.
What is it called? The Wegovy, the
Ozempic.
Ozempic, and then the semaglutide, I believe
Mhm.
it's so that really took off last year. And I said it's interesting because this is technology that is in response to the technology that we keep poisoning our food with. That
Mhm.
it's so it's a full circle moment. So I talked a little bit about that, and I talked about what I thought there were lots of big stories, but 3 big pop like media / pop culture stories. Taylor Swift / Beyonce, the 2024 Olympics, and Ray Gun Gate, as I call it, and Diddy. I think those were 3 of the largest stories. So I mentioned that. So
Ray Gate, could you?
yeah. So with remember that breakdancing was a sport.
Oh,
So the person who uh, pro,
Yeah,
from Australia,
the
Ray Gun.
kangaroo girl. Hmm.
That's it, Kangaroo Girl. That koala bear or whatever she is, that was, I think it overshadowed the entire fact that it was in the Olympics. I think there were other things that were problematic, but that perhaps was the most problematic thing. So I talked a little bit about that. So I just wanted to share that I did that, and you are free to go to Dr. Vibe's Morning Vibe show and watch the
Hmm.
synopsis of that. It was like a whole hour and a half of goodness of what happened last year. But
Wow.
we have some stuff happening this year, and the two of you are in California, so I'm sure you are painfully aware of what is happening. So one of the big news stories, obviously, is the wildfires. Four, I believe, wildfires that have five now.
Hmm.
It was five. They're calming down, but there were five.
Hmm.
There were five. Okay. So five, which, yeah, seem to be calming down. I don't know. You all can tell me what's happening with the winds back there, down there, but that's what's happening. And am I correct that I heard that there were some arsonists that were
That is the
arrested?
latest development that they think it was started by arsonists.
Okay. Ooh, wow.
And I heard a lot of people say something about this doesn't seem 100% natural. I've heard that, but
Mhm.
again, I don't have confirmation that that was the case, so I didn't say anything about that. But
Okay, so let me say this. Santa Ana winds are normal.
right,
That's a normal thing. The way this fire went down, that is not a normal occurrence. The,
and it was fueled by the winds.
Mhm.
yes, the winds took it to a new level because they were saying that they came down from the hills and it came down. Normally, a fire starts at the bottom and works. Okay, I'm not science to that degree, but um, it didn't seem like a normal fire.
Mm.
And then the whole thing of the false alarm asking for 10 million Los Angeles to evacuate, and it was sent out incorrectly, and they had to retrieve the message. But can you imagine 10 million people trying to evacuate simultaneously?
Wow. That's this is interesting because it will really shape what happens with fire safety and all of that in the years to come for that
Oh,
area.
it will.
Definitely, they're going to have to take a hard look at some of these things, because I think what happens for years is you get used to things the way they are, even when, okay, even here with hurricanes or whatever,
Mhm.
there's not much change that happens in terms of the way they say to do or prepare for hurricanes, right? Until something big happens. And then they start to look at, all right. And it's not that it's anything that you could control necessarily. It's just that you were so used to the way things were for so long that you're doing normal measures to fight these things. So I will be interested to see what they do with this. And then I'm very doubly interested to see what happens with these insurance companies, because these crooks will try and find a way not to pay you if they can. So,
And
Mhm.
and we there are a lot of insurance companies here in California because of the wildfires up in the mountains. In remember Paradise, up
Mm.
in Paradise, California, that whole town was completely wiped out.
mm,
And so since then, trying to get insurance, they had to do the state of California had to do something called Fair Plan to try to have insurance for people because the major insurance companies started not renewing your insurance. If you were in a fire zone,
Correct.
they decided they were not going to insure you.
yeah, it's the same thing here, in Florida, and especially
Mhm.
that they had all these two back to back major hurricanes on the west coast of Florida, and you already have that's why the state is an insurer. They like to be the insurer of last resort, but they are an insurer because of the fact that so many were leaving
Yes, because they couldn't get
Florida.
insurance.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So, but the thing is, if you do things right, there should, because some of these executives from insurance companies are walking away with millions. These investors are walking away with millions. So if you did things the right way, there's no need for you to walk away. You just don't want to pay out. But that's another thing altogether.
Mhm, mhm.
So some are fine, some are great, but then some, yeah. So this is going to be, my heart really goes out to everyone who is affected. And the reason I brought that up is because there are a couple of stories, for example. So there are some productions that have been halted because of the fire. So for
Yes.
example, Grey's Anatomy, Suits
Oh.
LA is they're halted. The Price is Right is also
Mm.
halted. Um, so as these fires continue to burn on, it's like, all right, well, first of all, the air quality is not great, but also there is a danger to everyone involved. So they have ceased production now. And again, these are things that are out of their control. But let's look at what's happened in Hollywood and production since 2020. We
Mhm.
had the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
which stretched for a good number of years, I'll say into 2022. And we're still kind of in this state.
We're just starting to get new shows,
Exactly.
from England. I don't know about the U we got a couple of Hallmark movies.
Right. Yeah, it's not like what it was. So
Mm,
then on the heels of this in 2023, what happens? You've got two strikes.
mm,
One that goes for like several months. And so nothing is happening because of that. So now, just as we're starting to try and get some semblance of production again, these fires happen. So Hollywood has not had a good past 5 years at
mhm,
all.
mhm.
And so because of that, we've already seen the repercussions of this. We've seen some things that have been scratched, some production companies or not even production companies, but networks, etc. and studios have decided, okay, well, we're not going to do this. We're going to scrap this plan. We're getting rid of X amount of staff. We're doing that because of all this. So there is a lot happening. And then again, now because of the advent of AI, which is one of the biggest contention points of the strike.
Correct.
And they talked about this again. CES is happening right now, the Consumer
Mhm,
Electronics Show. Today is the last day of CES. And the chair, the CEO of SAG-AFTRA, why
mhm.
can't I remember his name? The president is Fran Drescher, but I always forget the CEO's name. He was there talking about this whole thing, the AI, and and they're up. They have another year before they renegotiate
Mhm.
with the studios. So we'll
Wow.
see what happens there. So this has not been a stellar 5 years for Hollywood at all.
Mhm.
And the fires is just a latest in all of that, because while maybe the studios haven't burnt down, there have been several celebrities who have lost their homes
Correct.
completely
Mhm.
decimated. I'll
Yes.
think what is her name, Bosma St. John, who was now on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but she is known in the tech industry because she was with Netflix. Now who is she with? I can't remember, but she's a big time executive, and she's of Ghanaian descent. Her house is gone. She lived somewhere on the beach. Her house is just gone. So if I'm shooting, if I'm in the middle of shooting and am I trying to shoot? Is my mind on this? No, because I've lost everything at this point. I've been evacuated and I've lost everything. So, and it's not even the house itself. Those are things that can really be rebuilt. It's the
Mhm,
memorabilia and things for people that you lose. It's like that you can't get back, right?
mhm, mhm.
So there are several celebrities, several people, not even just celebrities, but I'm talking about this in relation to the production.
Yes.
That so it's for the foreseeable future. It's going to be nobody's going to be able to have their mind on anything
Wow.
for this. So it's such a shame. All right.
And the
Yeah.
tourism that's being affected as well,
Oh yes.
because Malibu, Santa Monica, all up in that area is major tourism here.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow.
Exactly. Exactly. So let me give you some more shows that have stopped production. So Max's Hacks, Happy Place, and Suits LA on NBC. Apple TV Plus's Loot and Peacock's Ted. Those are all from the Universal Group. CBS's After Midnight NCIS Origins, The
Mhm.
Neighborhood, Papa's House. Those are all produced by CBS Studios. And The Price is Right, which is Fremantle. ABC's Dr. Odyssey, Grey's Anatomy, and Jimmy Kimmel Live, which are all from 20th Television. Dr. Odyssey, sorry, The Rookie, which is produced by Lionsgate and 20th.
Uh-huh.
Also, Abbott Elementary, All
Oh,
American, and The Pit. So you can see there are a lot, and there's a lot more.
wow.
So Film LA and the Los Angeles City and County Film Office have issued an advisory that all permits for filming in Altadena, La Crencia, Cañada, Flintridge, I don't know what that is, and unincorporated Pasadena, near the site of the Eaton fire, they've been withdrawn for the time being. So if you have a permit, you don't now. Film
Oh,
LA
wow.
also, quote, advises the production community that personnel resources ordinarily available to support film production may not be available during the local state of emergency. So
Wow.
this has widespread implications.
Absolutely. Remember we talked about the vendors that were feeding and how that strike impacted them?
Mhm. Everybody. So it's like people think that the entertainment industry is just the actors. That's the first thing you think of because they're forward facing. But there are so many people, from the people that actually work the technology of the production, like the camera people, the lighting people, the gaffers, etc. Then of course you've got the actors, you've got anybody on set who's like a consultant, a coach, etc. You've got the costume department, the makeup, the hair, right? You've got billing, people that work in accounting, all of that. You've got people down to, for costuming, if you make fasteners like buttons for shirts, etc., that's still the industry because you're doing it specifically for you see what I'm saying? So it affects so many across the board. Whenever there is a tragedy of this proportion, it's rarely just one group that's affected. And
Mhm.
if the both of you know that with the city of Los Angeles and that part of Southern California, I'm going to put a number out there. I probably would say that probably 65% of the people that live in Southern California work in some way, shape, or form for the entertainment industry, if not directly, indirectly.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Um,
Or the fashion industry or something like you said indirectly. Yeah, because we
so,
got the garment district going. There's a lot of different things going. It's agricultural.
Hmm.
Uh,
yeah, because, yeah, and now the places where the fires were may not have been uh, growing foods, but that whole situation, people have to drive through that. And a lot of places were telling people not to come to work or don't, the schools are shut down.
mhm.
You understand? You can't travel. Uh, Somebody I know had a job interview. I don't know if they were able to do it. Did they stop the job interview or whatever? Because you had to drive
Through
very
something.
close to the fire to get on the freeway. So there was like, I'm pretty sure they're shutting down.
Mhm. Well, I
You know,
know that a number of the flights are canceled to Southern California. That it's just so how do you get out? All
it's a
of that.
right. It's a
Exactly.
yeah. And
And where do you go? It's the same thing here when it comes to hurricanes, and people are usually talking about, although fire to me is more serious than the hurricane.
Hmm.
People are, always talk about, okay, well, evacuate. Well, where do you want these people to go?
Exactly.
Sometimes
Especially,
people, they're like, well, just drive. I don't have a car. I don't have family. But people think about it in terms of the resources of the able. And there are so many that are not able. What do you do? You know?
Mhm.
right, and
Mhm.
they had to go in and move people in nursing homes and get them out. Uh,
Mhm. And
and
10,000 buildings are gone. There are no grocery stores. There's
they're
no infrastructure for all of this.
gone.
Yeah. It's just,
And the wind warning is from north, I would say Santa Clarita, right when you come over the Grapevine, all the way down to San Diego. That's
Mhm.
major because after San Diego, where are we going? Mexico?
Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So this could have international implications, and it will have international implications,
Well,
Yeah.
my concern is this also. We already had a housing shortage,
Well, look, there's one now.
and 10,000 structures are gone. What is the competition going to be like for the housing that remains?
And
Well, and then who is obviously when we're talking about people that work in entertainment industry, if you're an actor or whatever, well, even then, it doesn't matter because some people don't have to be near the studio. It's like I can fly in from Vegas,
Mhm.
right? So what is the likelihood of people just saying, you know what? I'm just going to leave because it just does not make sense for me to stay and rebuild here or find something else here if the likelihood of this happening again is strong, right?
Not, not only that, Dr. Tachi, that after a natural disaster, it's hard to find contractors. What is the
Mhm.
competition with 10,000 structures?
Right. The reality is that people are not going. And again, the reason I say this is much worse than a hurricane. Of course, hurricane devastation is terrible, but the structures for the most part are not gone because most places have built to hurricane specific. Okay, this house was built in 1950. It has not gone anywhere yet, right? Because it was built with cement block, etc. So, if for the most part, unless you're building your house out of paper mache and popsicle sticks, the structures are not gone. So, it's of course a lot of water mitigation and things like that, but there are still things that are salvageable.
You have some framework.
It's rarely we have to raise the whole thing and just build it again. Rarely is it that. With fire, your house is just gone.
right.
Especially if it has your car in the garage and that blew up. And so now you got gasoline. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And
It's,
in trying to save things, you put everything inside, now realizing you've now just created an explosive device.
mm-hmm.
It's really very sad, and my heart goes out, and prayers really go out to all of them. And this is the interesting thing: the Hollywood Reporter actually has a. I'll put the link here. So how to help in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the wildfires and places where they're taking donations. So I'll do that right now in case anybody is interested
Mm-hmm.
in doing that. I'll put it in the private chat,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then I will
Yeah,
put
we'll
it.
get it over there.
I'm actually signed in on YouTube, so I could put it on YouTube.
Okay, go ahead.
So
And then we'll get it over to the
no, and it's failed to post, so you have to do it anyway. I don't know why it said this comment has failed to post. So
just because
We could
okay,
put
I
it on the
think it's
screen too, and that then people could take a screenshot.
okay, it's on there, Terry.
okay.
Okay.
So if anybody is interested in where to go to, the Hollywood Reporter has this. So, and it's a trusted source. I always use the Hollywood Reporter for my news. So From that, and again, it's very sad, but we're going to move over to Disney. And Disney actually has reported that they have averaged 157 million global monthly streaming users, and
Mm.
112 million of that is domestic. And that's over these past 6 months.
How'd they manage that?
I don't know.
Okay, now say that again. Who has what?
Okay, Disney says that they have averaged 157 million global monthly streaming users.
Mm-hmm.
So every month, 157 million people are watching some type of Disney streaming. And 112 million of that number is domestic, so within the US.
Okay, so I think because they moved ESPN over to and Hulu over to their platform, they can now claim those numbers.
Yes, they're talking about collectively. You're absolutely
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, because that ain't Disney on its own.
That's not Disney on its own. Disney doesn't even have 157 things that people want to watch, let alone 157 million monthly active users. So that is, you're absolutely correct. That is the culmination of all of their streaming platforms.
Yeah.
And this information just came in just prior to CES in Vegas, and they reported this there. So for content, Netflix said last November that it reached 70 million monthly and average users, and Fox's Tubi earlier this week reported 97 million. Well, Tubi, when you can watch your mama and them on Tubi, of course you're going to draw in that kind of. We know what kind of programming Tubi has. Don't act like you don't know.
I think Tubi is Tubi kind of like an answer to Pluto, trying to be an answer.
It is a FAST. So for
Okay.
those of you that don't know, FAST stands for free ad-supported television, right? So it's the Tubis, the Plutos, the Plexes, anything that is free content but has ads. Those are FASTs. So that is precisely that. And Tubi is owned by Fox, which is owned by Disney.
Yeah. And Pluto has been doing it longer.
Pluto has been doing it longer.
Yes.
Pluto, though, is owned by, oh gosh,
Paramount.
yes. So when we look at these FAST channels, and I was just talking about this today with Dr. Vi, we were talking about, got a question about the streaming wars and asking about where these FAST channels fit into it. I was like, well, the FAST channels are part and parcel of it because they're mostly owned by larger companies. They're not independent.
Right. And Mark said Tubi has some great old movies. I watched 2 Joan Crawford films earlier this week.
They do. I'm not saying they do. They have some great old movies, but then they also have some questionable movies. It's like, this was the best you could do. Oh, we know that your budget was only $100. So it's. But I love the fact that they. I actually know some people that have content on Tubi. And for them, it's a big deal. It is a big deal to have it there. But then there's some of the quality of things. It's like somebody pretends to slap somebody, but the sound comes way after the. That.
Yeah,
that type of thing. But no, Tubi does have some good content. But that's what we're seeing, and I think coming into this year, we're going to see more of that. More FAST channels, because what we have to do is everything is contingent upon the economy or economies. Let's talk, because I don't think there's just one. It's economies, especially if we're talking about worldwide. So if the Führer in charge is now talking about implementing tariffs, etc., we're now looking at what can I afford to pay for. And it's not television. I need to rack up as much free as possible, right? So I think that there probably will be, and we talked about this in terms of live streaming tools, but I'm talking about this also in terms of television. I think there's already been a reckoning with larger companies saying, all right, we need to pull back on some of our streaming a little bit. We need to pull a little bit back because investors are looking at them like, well, what are we doing here? Where's our money? And if you're losing money on something like that, you're going to pull back. And so we're seeing this pullback. But I really feel in my spirit, there's a freshness that's about to come in. And don't ask me who or where, but I just feel in my spirit something new is going to come down the pipe in terms of a fast channel of some type.
Yeah, because the fact they won't have to go back to cable. They will hit the fast channels and be okay there, because why would we go back to cable? Why would we go to networks when the networks are not going to have anything to offer us? There will be nothing new to watch. And so the thing that we were watching, we cannot watch anymore. So we're going to go, if I'm going to go back in time to watch stuff, I'm going to go to probably Pluto. There's Perry Mason. There's lots of things that I can get involved with over there. And what is it? Mystery Science Theater. Hey, I'm good.
And that's an interesting point, because I think that many people, there's this whole thing of, oh, well, you're just going to drive people back into the arms of cable. People are tired of all this. And yeah, we are tired of being nickel and dime. But guess what we've also done? We've also weaned ourselves off of the terrible content that you provide. So we don't need it. So if you say, oh, all right, well, you're going to need XYZ for this, ESPN Plus or whatever. We don't care, because we're not watching you anyway. We weaned ourselves off of you. So out of sight, out of mind. If I don't have it, I don't need it. This is what they're not realizing.
And if we don't see it, we won't want it.
I do not want it. It is not that important to me.
And there's YouTube.
And there is YouTube. And I think that what they're starting to realize is, yeah, you know what? That type of fear mongering worked during the pandemic, because you're inside and you're looking for things. That also led to the rise of some of these fast channels and things, because now you've got this captive audience that you can advertise to. So absolutely. But now that people are back outside, they're not caring about that.
And I think there is a real emphasis on getting outside during 2025, the year of self-care. And have you noticed that meetups are back? People are starting to gather.
Now you're 100% right. And as a person who has participated recently in a meetup, let me tell you about my experience. So right after the election, there was this whole thing about, let me talk about Black women and the whole 92%, where we don't give a damn about the rest of you all. You clean up the mess. We're done. We have done our part. We've done our part for decades and centuries. We're done. I'm going to get a massage.
Exactly.
Call me when you fix the mess. So out of that 92% movement, lots of groups started to spring up on social media. And I noticed there was this overwhelming support for, the people that were on the right side of history, trying to do the right thing. And I stumbled upon these women. There was a whole conversation about, hey, who lives in South Florida? I'm like, oh, well, I do. We actually met. Probably it was before Christmas. We met at a restaurant here, and we had the best time ever. And here's the thing. I generally am not a fan of the people who live in this area. I will be incognito all day, because I don't necessarily care for some of you. Some people are great. But some people, I don't know what type of pills you took to get the stank attitude, but it worked and I don't like it. So I just generally tend not to deal with many people in South Florida. There's a culture here, and it's not imagined. There's a culture
Mhm.
here that's like the antithesis of what I'm used to. And so it's so rare. I really avoid so many people, unless I know you, like the plague here, that to encounter women that I'm like, oh, well, I actually like you ladies. I actually can sit for 3 hours, and we were together for like 4 hours.
Wow. Hmm.
4 hours just having a great time and talking and laughing. Some women even cried. I was like, wow. So it took that to bring out the best in people, or for me to discover some great folks. So when
Really?
and just really quickly, so just like Terry, I had a chapter published in Ross Brand's new book. And
Yay,
so one,
congrats.
yeah, thank you. So one of them saw it and said, "Hey, have you?" And because we have a chat on Telegram, it said, "Hey, have you guys seen this?" I didn't say anything because for some things I'm like, I'm just doing what I do. I'm not whatever. And they were like, oh, we have to have a book launch. But I was like, well, I just wrote a chapter in the book. I've done it. This is the 4th year I've done it. Well, we need to celebrate the chapter. Okay.
Exactly.
Then I guess the next time we get together, we could do that. For me, I'm good if I don't, but they felt it was necessary to celebrate.
And that's the purpose of community.
That is
Yes.
exactly it. Because Lord knows I won't celebrate myself. Not that I'm not proud of achievements, but I've never been the whole thing of like, it's my birthday a year. No, the one day is my birthday and I'm good. Okay, that's just me. So, but that is to bring this all home. That is the purpose of community 100%.
Hmm. So
Absolutely.
congratulations, Dr.
Oh, well,
Mhm.
thank you. Thank you very much. And congrats to Terry as well.
Touch. Yes, TJ,
Yeah,
congratulations.
so sorry, TJ.
Hmm.
TJ,
Hmm.
TJ, Terry, TJ. So, and so let me go on to some other things so that we can ravel it up because I know that we need to. Um, let's see. I think I will talk about. Oh, okay. So, do you guys know who the Wiggles are?
I remember
No.
them. I remember that TV show for the kids or something.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Called the Wiggles, and they are based at. Are they in Australia?
I think so.
Okay.
If they're across somebody's pond, they're not here.
They're not here, right? So, guess what? Another big trend, and I should have said this, but one of the big trends in 2024, anything country, music, attire. So,
Mm.
country core was huge. Well, the Wiggles won't be lost on that because they are releasing a country album featuring Dolly Parton and more.
Whoa.
Yes, it's called Wiggle Up, Giddy Up. It's going to be released in March 7th. And they are Australian and they're taking them into the music territory. Now, the thing is, they always sing, right? They've always sung and danced, and some of them get down. Some of these Wiggles really get
Mm.
down. But this is going to be interesting because it will feature collaborations with Dolly Parton, as I said, Lainey Wilson, Orville Peck, and even the late Slim Dusty. And it's supposed to, quote, introduce country tunes to kids while offering nostalgic charm for parents. Other artists that will be there will be Morgan Evans, Jackson Dean, Kaylee Bell, Mackenzie Porter, Troy Sassar Daly, the Wolf Brothers, Travis Collins, and Lucky Oceans. And you are a true music fan if you know any of them, because I do not.
Okay.
So I'm not a country music fan necessarily. No disrespect, but it's just not my genre. So I don't know these names. But if you're a country music fan, you would know these names. So the album's title track is a collaboration with the rising country star Dasha, and it's
Mm.
already hit the airwaves apparently. So yeah, if you are a Wiggles fan, get ready for Wiggle Up, Giddy Up.
Mm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That ain't Coco Melon, but okay. There's the kids programming seems to keep rolling out.
Absolutely. I think I'm freezing a little bit.
Yeah, just a
Am
little.
I?
Yeah.
Just a little. We can
But you're
still
good.
hear you though.
Can you hear?
Okay.
Yes,
We
we
can
can
still
hear
hear you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. I think I have too many windows open. That's what it is. This is always a
No,
problem for me.
no worries. I do have TJ's story unless you got something else for
Yeah,
us.
and so I'm freezing a little bit now. I do, but go ahead with TJ's stories and I'll come back in.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Let's do it. And so we're going to go for this week.
Okay.
And let me pull this up. We're going to share this. Let me.
And I'm going to have to figure out who the Wiggles are.
Okay, here we go.
Here are the latest social media updates for the week ending January 10th, 2025. Threads prototypes custom display names and cover images for profiles. Instagram Threads is developing new features that would bring its user experience more in line with that of X, formerly Twitter, and the social network Blue Sky.
Wow.
The Meta-owned company is internally prototyping the ability to set a display name and add a cover image to profiles. A spokesperson for the company confirmed to TechCrunch on Tuesday that the two features are not currently available to the public. Since Threads is integrated with Instagram, users aren't able to change their display names, as the social network automatically pulls them from Instagram. If Meta gives users the ability to modify their Threads display name, it would give users more freedom over their identity on the platform. If someone leaves X for Threads, they may want to have the same username on Threads, so their X followers can easily find them on Meta's app. Today, users don't have a way of doing that and would have to change their name on Instagram to do so on Threads, which is less than ideal. A user's display name would be shown on their Threads profile and posts. Plus, users would have the option to change their display name twice within 14 days. At this time, it is unknown if or when Meta plans to roll out these features. Facebook's parent company Meta is changing how it handles posts on its social media platforms. Mark Zuckerberg, Meta's CEO, announced that they will have new rules about what content is allowed and what isn't on platforms like Facebook and Instagram. These changes will affect how Meta decides which posts to keep up, which to take down, and how they deal with controversial content. Facebook plans to replace its fact checkers with community notes, a move that Zuckerberg said would allow the social network to return to our roots around free expression. The changes, which will also be in place for Instagram and Threads, will lift restrictions on some topics that are part of mainstream discourse and will focus the company's enforcement on illegal and high severity violations. Fact checkers who were put in place in the wake of Trump's 2016 election have proven to be too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, particularly in the United States, Zuckerberg said. The shift in policy mirrors a series of updates that Elon Musk made after purchasing rival social network Twitter, which he since rebranded as X in 2023. And that is your social media news and updates for this week.
Good stuff.
Yeah, the news about Twitter was very interesting. About Meta was very interesting. when they
Yeah.
were talking about it this week on the news. I was just like, oh, okay. So now the rails are off again.
Did you watch Zuckerberg's message?
Yeah. He looked like a hostage.
He did. Hair all grown out. It's-
He was a hot mess. I was like, really? Okay, like he had been in hostage negotiation. I was okay.
Wow.
That's
I
awesome.
his the threads thing where you can put they're talking about where you can make your threads kind of like have a head, what is it called? Where you can put a picture like
A profile pic.
Mhm.
not just a profile picture, but where you can change the whole background on the top, like a
Mm.
header on,
Kind of like a header or a banner.
yeah, a banner image like you would on X or one of the others, and then you can change your name and stuff. You're gonna confuse people. Just
To me, I wouldn't have said so. He said in his message, similar to X.
that is like shooting yourself in the foot. We
Why
don't
would
want to
you
be
do
like
that?
Because administrations are changing and
Yes, exactly.
you want to survive without a lot of lawsuits and foolishness.
Exactly.
nobody
But
wants to be like X.
Like I said, it was a hostage situation.
that again, like I said, his hair was all grown out. He was wearing a t-shirt like like he had been.
Fred is here.
Hey, Fred. Give him a-
Yeah, so I thought it was really interesting. I was like, why would we? I don't mind having the background picture on threads, but don't try and be like X or don't try and be like Blue Sky. We like you, we like threads the way it was or the way it is. Just be threads. Don't start morphing into somebody else.
All of this is very dangerous, though. I mean, you talk about free speech. What's happening is the antithesis of free speech, where you
Mhm.
have to conform to whatever regime is there in
Not to
order
be
for you to
censored.
survive.
Mhm.
That is the antithesis.
Mhm. And there's something else. Oh, the whole TikTok thing. I guess we'll know next week what happened with that.
Yes. So right now they're hearing like kind of opening arguments with that, but next week, the 19th, is actually the day they will make the decision whether TikTok will be around in the US or not.
Mhm.
Mm.
It'll go the way of what was that game that Apple kicked off their
Oh, was it Fortnite?
Fortnite.
Yeah.
You won't be able to download it, but you can still be on your phone, and they will throttle.
But I wouldn't
Mm.
trust it trying to run it on my phone. I'm not if it didn't run through the Play stores.
If they listen, exactly. If they do effectively ban this to whatever capacity, don't look for me to be on there at all.
Well, look, listen, we're talking 170 million people.
Mhm.
How many people are there in the whole country?
Yeah, but the point
500,
is,
600?
we will get used to something else.
True.
Very quickly. Where's MySpace?
Yeah, it's gone.
Mhm.
We will get, yeah. Fred says, I say yes, but with a partial ownership of some U.S. entity. They don't know how to run it. That's my point.
The big thing here, it's not even about TikTok on the surface. The thing that makes TikTok tick is the algorithm, which they are
Yeah.
going to refuse to give people the secret sauce to.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The name doesn't mean anything without all the internal parts.
It's rubbish.
And so they're
It's
not
the
giving up.
algorithm.
They're not giving up the inner workings. They got
Well,
other people in the world that's going to be on TikTok. Okay,
well, this is America. You know, people, if TikTok says we're all going over to Bebop, people will be over there next week and doing the same thing.
And what I
Come
want
over
to
here,
know,
register.
yes, you're correct. What I want to know is, yeah, they will come up with Bebop as you said,
But
but
will
what
they
I
go
also
through?
want to know is, so what's going to happen to all the other properties that they have. So
Yeah.
their little editing app, CapCut, that's still the same parent company. You're acting like separating out TikTok is doing a big thing. They're still owned by the same parent company. So you can own TikTok all you like. They can sell it to you outright. That's nice, but they still own things that Americans are using, which leads me to believe it's really not that much about TikTok itself.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Fred said TikTok's algorithm is more secretive than the KFC recipe.
Exactly.
And then Mark said, I feel safer with my data in the hands of China than I do in the hands of Kevin O'Leary. Mr. Wonderful is anything but.
Wow. Well, does Kevin O'Leary have some sort of hands in one of
Buying.
these social apps?
He might be trying to buy TikTok, but he says, Fred said, I love when people say I'm leaving Facebook, but we'll still be on IG.
Exactly. They're like, I hate Facebook. Facebook, get off my lawn. But you're still on IG. You're still on Threads. You use WhatsApp like a thief.
Wow. Well, here we go.
So, Dr. Tachi, did you want to finish your stories? Because now that TJ stirred up some stuff with her little stories.
I just have actually one more thing that I think I want to put here. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I absolutely adore Sanrio characters. And if you don't know Sanrio, that's a Japanese company and they're responsible for Hello Kitty, My Melody, etc. So in fact, Sanrio's My Melody and Kuromi stop motion anime series is coming to Netflix. Yes. So they announced a fresh take on these Sanrio characters, My Melody and Kuromi, and they're getting into the streaming services growing Japanese animation lineup. Now, if you don't know, Netflix has a fair amount of Japanese animation or anime on the platform, and this is just the latest, and it's slated to premiere in July of this year. Now, this is marking lots of milestones. This is the 50th anniversary since My Melody appeared in 1975, and Kuromi's 20-year anniversary in the Sanrio universe. So I think this is actually going to be really cool. If you are a fan of Sanrio characters, especially My Melody and Kuromi, you might be interested in this, and it's coming to Netflix in July. I'm interested because I love particularly Hello Kitty, but I like the Sanrio characters.
Okay. And in regards to our previous story about TikTok, Mark says Kevin O'Leary and Frank McCourt are in a bid to buy TikTok in the US.
Oh, I didn't realize that Kevin O'Leary was one of the bidders. I don't know that I trust any of them. These people are business people. They don't understand. And that's part of the problem with a lot of these apps. They are tech people and business people. None of them understand the human experience. They try to, they say it, they feign like they do, and they don't. So you already have a lot of businesses, Mr. Wonderful. What?
Terry, you're muted.
So I'm sorry. Here's my question. You buy it, but you don't know how to run it. So do you keep the same people and the same systems?
I don't know. Ask Elon Musk.
Just wonderful.
And a lot of, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see the misnomer is that Elon started Tesla. He did not.
None of it.
No, he did
he
not.
bought these businesses. He didn't know how to run any of this stuff.
And he didn't even buy it. He was put on as CEO. I'm not sure how the whole C-suite stuff works sometimes, but he did. There were two other gentlemen that actually built the cars in the company.
Yes. Are we surprised?
Well, that's what happens when your daddy owns emerald mines. You know, you get to do what you want.
Let's tell the truth. That's what
Okay.
happens when your family steals emerald
Emerald mine.
mines
Yeah,
from the
exactly.
don't get me started
Okay.
on his colonizer self. You'll never be a South African to me anyway. So I think that this is the reality here. You have so many, there are some great American companies that are headed by mediocrity, mediocre people, because they have learned how to surround themselves with people who know how to do, they don't know it. They don't know how to do anything. In fact, they are mediocre at best. But they have people around them that they've employed or hired to make them look great. But on the surface, on the whole, many of these top people at these companies are mediocre, and it's shielded by the fact that there are people who actually know what to do around them. They
Yeah.
don't. If you ask them, it's like, all right, can you go in the kitchen and make XYZ? They don't know how to make jollof rice, but they've employed people that know how to make jollof rice. Therefore, they come off as jollof rice king or queen.
Exactly.
It's scary the amount of mediocrity that exists in this country at the top of companies.
Fred says, I'm working on starting a platform like X, but it will be called O.
I do it. I would be on there. I think that is so dope. The name O, I would be on there.
There you go. Oh,
Yeah.
so I do want to say this, that we want to acknowledge the passing of the former president, Jimmy Carter.
Yes. Yes.
And especially in light of his dedication after his administration to the Habitat for Humanity, with all that's going on around the globe, including Los Angeles area. We just want to acknowledge and thank him for his faithfulness, his dedication, and his commitment.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that's what I have for you today.
And that's it for today, guys. Want to thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, we're here to help you take the hassle out of your health. So become a part of the BizChicks community. Text Biz to 33777, or you can go to bizchicks.net. However you get connected, we want to say thank you for those watching live and on the replay. We're looking forward to taking the hassle out of your hustle all the rest of this year. So enjoy. Let's get 2025 and start thriving. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.